Hi, everyone, and welcome to the AI Surge podcast, where we explore how AI is shaping industries and accelerating innovation. I'm your host, Surj Uppal, and today I'd like to welcome everyone to Trevor Read from Read Automotive. Welcome, Trevor, and I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Thanks for having me, Serge.
Okay, wonderful. So I want to ask you a couple things about a little bit about you and your business and your background. So, by all means, maybe introduce a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the industry and what that journey looked like.
Um, well, growing up, I was a farm kid, and my dad was a self-proclaimed mechanic back in the day, and I was always interested in cars, trucks. Once I graduated high school, I had nowhere to stay on the farm, so I went to Saskatoon and took my first year of automotive service technician, and I took a job right out of there, and there was no looking back. It was once I got into the industry, it kind of had me hooked. It's that ever-changing industry where no 2 days are the same, and I just couldn't see myself sitting behind a desk for 8 hours a day for the rest of my life. And this is just something I've always had passion for, and I've always been very good at it, which you generally are very good at something you have passion for. After 35 years, I'm still pretty excited to get up and come to work every morning.
So, Trevor, did you, coming out of school, did you work for a mechanic shop first before you opened up your own shop?
I did. I apprenticed at three different places. One place where I finished my apprenticeship through closed. Just the business was getting too big for what my employer at that time was interested in. And I had the option of buying the shop then, but I was still pretty young and didn't have financing in place. I took a job in a small community just outside of Saskatoon. And 2 years later, I had the option to purchase it. So I bought that in 2002. So
Excellent.
I had my interprovincial papers then, and I had staff that I had worked with. So it was a pretty easy transition to start up. I mean, lots to learn, but at least I had some staff to start with.
Yeah, if you kind of apprenticed at three different shops, did you take something away from each one, or did you kind of have your own vision about what a strong shop and operation should look like?
Yeah, the first two shops I was at, one wasn't very long. It wasn't a good fit for me. They weren't working on anything in the newer end of things, and I started in 91, so we were just into fuel injection and a lot of electronics, and that's what really had me interested in the industry. But the third shop where I finished that closed, that was the shop I strived to be. He was a great employee or a great employer with great employees and well managed, well run shop. Like I said, I think it just got too big and too busy for what he actually wanted.
What did he end up doing? That he closed that one or he sold that one?
Yeah, he actually closed that shop, and it was no longer a shop after that. A cabinet place bought the building, and he moved to Eastern Saskatchewan and was working on an acreage, just doing his own thing.
Okay. So now you've been kind of running your own shop and serving the community for 23 years. That's quite impressive. Has there been some things that you've that have been consistent over the 23 years, and some things that have changed?
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of changes. The consistency has always been our clients. We don't do a lot of advertising, so it's a lot of referral. And some of these clients I've had for 30 years. They've never gone to another technician in the last 30 years. I'm seeing third generation of drivers, and it's funny because we see kids bringing in their vehicles now that are 16, 17, 18, and we just remember when they were coming in because they got a free sucker when their mom and dad came in with them. So, I mean, that's the consistency, is having those loyal clients. I mean, the industry has changed so much as far as, we have a scanner for every bay. We're completely digital. We don't use there's no paperwork passing through our shop other than when a customer requests an invoice. If they don't want an email, we'll print it off. But my techs in the back, they're all on tablets. There's a laptop on every workstation. It's just, yeah, the industry has changed so much and progressed so fast. It's a challenge to stay on top of, but again, we have a great team that wants to be there with us. So
Wonderful. So for those who missed the intro, this is the AI Surge podcast, and I'm today with Trevor Read from Read Automotive, talking about his experience. And Trevor, you're based in Saskatchewan, is that correct?
that's right, just 5 minutes out of Saskatoon.
Okay, wonderful. So what, and guys, if you hear some phones ringing, we're in real time. Trevor's got stuff to do. We're live and love the retail environment. So what is your typical day to day look like? Is every day the same, or do you start the same way, or is every day different?
My day starts the same every day. I'm usually here by about 5:45 in the morning. Our hours are 7 till 6. And that just gives me a chance to move out vehicles, open up the compound, finishing up some paperwork from the day before, balancing out the debit machine and making sure all the paperwork's filed and ready to go. So I just do that every morning before the day starts underway. And then the mornings generally I'm either doing paperwork on the front or I'm assisting my service advisor, who's also my shop manager when I'm not here. And when it's busy like we are, then it's just a consistent 3 hours on the front dealing with clients and bringing vehicles. And then usually in the afternoon, then I'll be in the back helping, just staying on top of everything in the back, or still doing quotes or answering emails or whatever needs to be done. Trying to spend a lot more time working on the business than in the business. But like I was telling you before, looking for that last person to fill the last position of the shop, and we've struggled to have that last technician filled. So we go in and out of when I'm extremely busy in the back and in the front. So kind of have to wear a few hats at the same time.
Okay, got it. And so with you're right. We did touch base before we started recording about the challenge of. It sounds like you got a great team, but you're looking for one more individual that could uh, fit the bill. So is that something where maybe streamlining other processes could help, or do you guys think you're fairly streamlined, or what do you think? There's
We're fairly efficient and streamlined in that respect. It's just having somebody, we're finding out there's not a lot of independent shops that are staying on top of the industry or trying to be on top of the industry, where they're progressive and, are willing to go to classes and take training and follow suit with the policies and procedures that we have in place. We're always open to different ideas with every different employee, but so far we haven't had much for input because they haven't stayed long enough to really kick off that start to looking at something different as far as a procedure or a policy goes. And don't get me wrong, there's always room for improvement as far as the way everything flows in a shop. So, we're always open to different suggestions.
Well, it sounds like just given the start of your day, lots to do, but I'm sure you have a pot of coffee on brew
Always.
to help. So, hey, I saw something we touched on earlier was the way you keep your staff engaged and morale up is with a condensed work week. With being open 4 days and then giving your team 3 days to recover and do their own thing. When did you start with the 4 day work week?
It was, I believe, April of 2024. So we've been going a year and a half now. And it's funny because as much as it boosts morale and having that extra day, the efficiencies inside the shop went up dramatically within 2 months. We could see the difference. It took about a month of us to figure out how much work we could actually book in and do, because you have that extra 2 hours per tech in the back. And we realized when you're actually there and focused for a longer period of time, the amount of work that was getting done was substantially more than just the 2 hours they were working.
So it's a win-win.
For sure, without a doubt.
Now, what triggered that change? Was it something you'd been thinking about for a while, or was that a request from one of your staff, or how did that come about?
No, it was actually on me. Couple 2.5 years ago, I found a nice work-life balance, and I just realized that I was working, 60 hours a week. And I just, I'm at that point where I just can't continue doing that. The easiest way was my staff was feeling the crunch on a Thursday and Friday when I'm getting pretty much done for the end of the week. And, I just gave them the suggestion. I said, I think we can condense this down, take a day out. Just means we're busier and we need to be more efficient. And yeah, it rolled from there.
Did you get any resistance, or I'd imagine everybody would be on board for that?
I had no resistance. After the first couple weeks, we had a few toolbox meetings where we were like, okay, we need to be able to get some more work booked in. And then everybody was learning that you went home, you had supper, you probably weren't staying up till 11 or 12 o'clock because they were coming back in. And it took about a month before everybody figured out their sweet spot in their lives. And I think everybody's home life balance is a lot better now than what it was even a year and a half ago.
Nice. And I'm assuming those 4 days are Monday to Thursday, yes?
That's correct. Yeah,
Okay, so maybe dad can take the kids to school on a Friday, and
for sure. And
yeah.
then, like I said, on a long weekend, there's 4 days. So, it just it makes it so much nicer for everybody to actually take those times. So when my staff does take their holiday days, it's actually holiday days, not taking work days all the time.
I see on your website there's a big focus on doing the job right the first time. And it's funny how you would assume that's the case for all shops, but not necessarily. What do you implement to make sure that um that the problem's solved versus just fixed?
Well, everything gets test drive before it comes in the shop. Everything gets a test drive after it leaves the shop. But we include that in our pricing when we're doing diagnosis for anything that's more than even just brakes or suspension. We don't guess, if a vehicle comes in for tires and there's some tire wear and you can feel a little bit of play in a tie rod end, we're not phoning the client telling them they need a tie rod end. They're being phoned to say they should have a suspension inspection done. So it's done right. Our biggest concern we've always had in any reviews we've ever had, it's funny how it always comes down to the dollar amount. And we've never, ever told anybody that we were the cheapest. And I guarantee that anybody that's referred to us is not coming here because they heard we were cheap. We're thorough. We're very thorough. If we have a client with a complaint on a vehicle, we'll try and have them here to go for that initial test drive with us to listen for a noise or feel a vibration or find out what's going on with the vehicle, because two different people can hear two different noises or feel two different things. And, it's very adamant to us that we solve that client's issue, even if there is another issue that gets brought to their attention for future dating. We just want their cause of coming into the shop rectified that day.
So you talked about being thorough. Is that one of the keys to making sure that you keep your customers coming back?
I mean, it's as simple as doing a brake inspection. Every caliper's off, brake pads are out, everything is apart. We just can't say, well, you need rear brakes, and then be phoning a client telling them they need calipers and emergency brake shoes and cables. And we want to make that one phone call and have the customer or the client in control of their spending. We don't want to be the ones that just do it and they come into a surprise on a bill. So the biggest thing we hear is that our quotes, the final bill is never higher than our quote. And we pride ourselves in that.
Wow, that's really cool. So that's thus your customers keep coming back because they know it's going to be done well, and it's going to be the cost is going to be as promised. So that's all they can ask, really.
Exactly.
So you've been in this business for 23 years. What lessons have you learned about the business, about how cars evolve, about your staff? What can you share?
Well, as far as vehicles evolving, I mean, you've always got training courses, but away from the technical training, just sitting at work, whether you're behind your desk, whether you're talking to a client, there's learning opportunities every day in every aspect of this industry. No two problems are ever the same. They may be similar, but they're never the same. They can have identical vehicles, and one person will describe the exact same issue as something else. It's just an ongoing thing to keep an open mind and actually listen to people. I mean, treat everybody how you want to be treated. That's how I run my life, and our business is no different. My manager is unbelievable that way. My staff, all of my staff, nothing but respect for any of the clients. I can't say it enough. It's to have that team that is backing you all the time. It just makes everything so much easier. Everybody's on the same page and everybody has that same goal. I mean, nobody wants to go to work and be upset or do a half-assed job. Everybody wants to do their best and be known as the best in the industry. And it doesn't matter what industry that is. So when you get that team, boy, you have to really embrace it.
So do you spend your time front facing with the customer or coaching the techs or a bit of both, or how does that work?
A bit of both. Some of our clients that we've had, that I've had for, almost 30 years, they want to talk to me. I would say 75% of our clients now are very comfortable talking to any one of the staff members. And now I'd say half of them specifically want to talk to my service advisor and my shop manager rather than me. If I answer the phone, they'll give me a nice hello, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while, but they ask for Rob all the time. They want to talk to the guy that they're used to talking to, which is the face of our business in the front office 95% of the time. I kind of hide in the back and do estimates and deal with the clients on the phone, but face to face, I've pretty much removed myself, 90% for sure out of that position.
Well, it must be nice to kind of take the load off a little bit and have somebody you can trust with the customers.
Well, it does. I mean, I don't want to be that person that has my thumb on everything. I want to have my finger on the pulse, but I don't want my thumb on every job that's in the shop, and there's not enough hours in the day. When you give your staff that right to do their job, they'll do it properly. If they need a little encouragement or if they need some training, you sit back, you observe, and then you make that training available for them, and it just makes your day-to-day life just so much easier.
The type of vehicles you work on, does it matter if it's foreign or domestic or
No, we work on foreign and domestic and up to medium duty trucks. So like F-550. So a lot of vehicles that don't hit the average automotive shop. We set up our shop to work on, we have a big 30,000 pound hoist that will accommodate a huge F5 flat deck. So it was just one of those things. Some of our fleets had those big trucks and we want all their stuff off their fleets, not just, their personal vehicles.
just looking at your website, it's a good sized space you have. How many square feet do you have?
The shop itself is about 4,400 square feet. And then there's just under 1,000 square feet of office.
So you know what? That seems like you got a nice balance of taking care of your customers, taking care of you and yourself and your staff with the 4-day week. You come back to a lot of messages on Monday. Is that part of how you kick off the week? Is playing some catch up?
You know what? The only time we get voicemails is over the weekend. We hardly ever get voicemails during the day because we're pretty adamant on being on the phone and stuff. But, we used to come into like 20 different voicemails, but all our clients now know our hours. When I came in on Monday, there was one voicemail, and it was just a client that had a breakdown and was having his vehicle towed to the shop. My emails, appointment emails, we get a handful. We respond to those right away, same day. So, we're not overwhelmed by messages and emails, and it's not chewing up our day answering those emails. We don't offer out estimates unless we've looked at the vehicle. So that eases up a lot of front counter time. I think that is kind of a downfall to a lot of shops.
How many, what percentage of customers would you say you know by name and which ones are new?
So I've actually checked this. We have roughly per year, we have about a 13% new clientele, and the rest is all repeat, meaning they've been here at least twice. I have just about 68% of our clients have been here more than 5 times.
Good for you. That's
Yeah,
amazing. Seems like there's a sense of community with your staff, yourself, your customers. Like, that's really cool. It's something kind of lost in some parts of the country. So yeah, that's awesome.
for sure.
In terms of industry trends, Trevor, what major shifts are you seeing in the industry right now?
Well, we're seeing a lot, of course, with the electronics end of things, down from reflashing to, every job that comes in. There's hardly a job that comes into the shop where a scanner's not put on that vehicle. So having up to date, and good equipment for scanning vehicles, interfacing for whether it's retracting brakes or check engine lights or ABS lights or airbag lights or every light on the dash. I don't think, other than doing a set of tires, I don't think a scanner isn't broken out on just about every vehicle that comes in anymore. And then sometimes you've got to be on with a scanner just to do a tire pressure relearn. So, you see it progressing. I know, vehicles still work the same way, but the technology is incredible for what's out there now as to what it was when I started in this industry.
And then in terms of how the technology and the electronics now involved has impacted your business or your growth strategy, does it, or is it just a matter of reprioritizing where you spend your time?
It is actually just reprioritizing where you spend your time, your training, your dollars spent on updates. I mean, 20 years ago, you could get away with not updating a scanner every year or twice a year or 3 times a year. Now, I mean, if you're not getting an update twice a year, you're probably behind the market on staying on top. And, we took that seriously and said, you know, we're in it for the long run. We're in it to work on everything. We don't want to send somebody's 3-year-old vehicle back to the dealership when we're working on a client's other 3 vehicles, all because our scanner won't interface with a system. There is always some vehicles out there that can be a little more technical, or that our scanners just don't want to play nicely with. But in that case, we don't spend a lot of time on those vehicles. We will refer our clients to a different shop that actually specializes in those.
What problem do you think AI or automation can solve for a business like yours?
Well, I think we have our phones under control, but I think that is a huge thing. We've changed our phone systems a couple of years ago. I know one of my techs likes to use AI when he's formatting a detailed story on diagnosis on a vehicle. So, I mean, that's pretty basic as far as AI goes in today's world. But those little things, it just makes everything seem a lot simpler.
What would you say, Trevor, that most people do not understand about the auto servicing business?
Don't think people realize what's required to diagnose an issue, and just about any issue. They all need some sort of diagnosis. It could be anything from a test drive to a scanner to having a very experienced tech just taking a look around a vehicle. There's no vehicle that comes in unless it's coming in basically for an oil change, I don't think, that it wouldn't have some sort of diagnosis on it. And I think people are used to not paying for that diagnosis, and they're slowly shifting to understand that when you don't pay for something, good isn't always free. People are more than willing to pay for the proper diagnosis and have a proper quote than they are to just, guess at replacing components because parts are so expensive and labor is expensive.
Yeah, and I guess that goes back to the philosophy of being thorough, right? Making sure you understand the program.
For sure.
So right now, what's working well for you right now, and what's been frustrating?
Working well, we have been a digital shop for, I think, like 8 years since we went completely paperless. It gets better and better every day. When you see a problem and you can take a picture and that gets emailed or messaged to a client, when they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, there is no mistaking that. And I think our challenges, other than a staff issue, which is, I think, a challenge for a lot of places, not just automotive, is staying current on all the technology and staying up on all the updates of all the equipment, just, to make sure that you're there and you're technically up to date on doing the proper procedures and diagnoses for every different vehicle out there. So it's not out of reach. It's just priorities go in a different direction.
So if that's a challenge or a bottleneck, outside of that, are there any other bottlenecks in the industry?
Well, I think there is in the industry, there is, what's everybody is aware of, the right to repair and having information held back from the manufacturers. That's a struggle. Getting training on vehicles that are, newer than 10 years old is always a struggle. It seems like by the time they come out and they say we have training on a new GM engine, they're talking about an engine that we've gone through already for 5 years and we found out the hard way, or the long way of how things work, just to be able to diagnose them. So there is always a training issue, but it's just, again, because there's no information out there, it's very hard to get an independent trainer in. And it's very, very hard to find an area like Saskatoon where, you have 20 different shops that all want the same training.
Okay, got it. So that's interesting. So maybe if there was some sort of platform or something, maybe that could address that. But if you want to be move towards a certain goal, 6 or 12 months from now, is there one in particular, or you just want to make sure that you're staying the course? What are your thoughts?
Well, in the near future, we're just hoping to have the proper staff in because, we've got guys that, when guys take holidays, it seems like you're fighting for a week to catch up after everybody's back. It's a matter of just fine tuning our, I don't know, I would like to say procedures, but it starts at the front counter as far as bookends and stuff. Um, I don't have any certain goals in my mind in the next 6 to 12 months, other than seeing everything progress the way it has been. We see improvements monthly. So whether it's a matter of moving a piece of equipment or adding a piece of equipment or changing a little bit of training or training dates or any of that, there's not much that I can see that I have for a goal. I don't have some grand goal in mind over the next 6 to 12 months. I don't have a grand goal, I guess, in mind at any future rate at the moment. I still love what I do, so I'm not at a point where I want to retire. I'm not even worried about succession planning right at the moment. I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning and I'm excited to go to work. By 6 o'clock and 6:30 in the evening, I'm definitely ready to go home. But every morning is the same thing. I'm up and ready to go.
Okay, wonderful. We've touched on this briefly, but maybe share with everybody what you're most proud of.
I am proud of the fact that we have been in this industry and growing and maintaining clientele that we've had for, some of them almost 30 years, but in an industry that's ever changing, to be able to stay relevant in this industry And, you know, we look at how everything is run here, and we have a tendency to think we're leading the industry. And I know there's some extremely great shops out there, but it's something we're very, very proud of. And I'm very, very proud of my team and what they do for the community and what we provide for services. It's to me, it's a big pat on the back when I hear somebody talking about one of my team members and they have something so great to say. It's just, I know that's, they've done the right thing. We've done the right thing. I've done the right thing at the shop.
That seems to be a common theme is just doing the right thing.
For sure. For sure. A lot of people can say that they do the right thing and then take a step back and realize that things could have been done in a different way, or they're regretting the way something was handled. We leave every day with no regrets on how anything was handled at the shop.
Trevor, maybe at this point, is there anything else you want to share that you think is unique or noteworthy before we wrap up? Or do you think we covered it all?
I think we pretty much have it all covered. I mean, that's, my advice to anybody is just don't stop learning because, there's so much to learn and it's not just technical. It's people, it's procedures, it's the way you live your life. It's an industry that I've given my whole life to and I love every minute of it. So,
Well, thank you, and I appreciate your time. Everybody, this was Trevor Read from Read Automotive, based out of Saskatchewan, Canada. A really insightful conversation today, Trevor. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
I'm your host, Surj Uppal from AI Surge Podcast, and we appreciate everybody listening, and we'll see you soon.